What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Progress on Purpose podcast. We are a community of people who believe in being intentional about how we think and behave towards an intended goal. We believe that what we say, think, and do governs our ability to progress towards a goal and ultimately lead to success. In simple terms, it is the action of being intentional and making progress on purpose. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 6 of the show in its first season entitled The Winning Season. In this season, we will be discussing what it takes to prepare for and walk in your winning season, or what is known to be the greatest season of your life. In today's show, I have invited my dear friend and brother, McKoy, to join us and drop gems about what winning looks like to him, how he entered into his winning season, and what it takes to be unconventional, and what can happen when we eliminate excuses and walk in our gifts. I know I said a lot, so listen, make sure you have some napkins handy because this episode is a full meal. But first, I've got to tell you about this new super helpful tool that I've created for you all to try. I created my very own daily intentions planner. This downloadable tool will help you set daily intentions and crush your goals. You can download it and print as many as you need to. It fits perfectly into a binder or on a clipboard and is perfect to sit on your desk at work. If you are like me, you have so much on your plate at times, and it's easy to get lost doing stuff, and before long, you realize that you didn't even do what you said you were going to do in that day. This tool is designed for you to use first thing in the morning or within 5 minutes of starting your workday to set your intentions, map out specific times that you're going to do each task, and then keep track of the task as well as important events, reminders, and notes. It's the perfect marriage between a journal and a calendar. So if you would like me to send you one, I can do that. Send me an email to progressonpurposepodcast@gmail.com with the subject planner, and I'll be happy to send you one for free. That's progressonpurposepodcast@gmail.com with the subject planner, and I'll send you one over for free. It's time for our People Poppin' Out segment. This is the segment of the show where we highlight, celebrate, and give kudos to people in the media or mainstream who are living intentionally to make progress towards their goals, make strides in the community or in the lives of others, or making this world better by doing what they need to do to best serve themselves or the community. This week, the pop-out of the week is none other than Miss McKoy Davis, majority stockholder of Detroit's largest First Independence Bank, which is one of the top 10 largest Black-owned banks in the United States. According to an article on blackbusiness.org, this makes her the only Black woman in the country who owns a bank. That is very impressive. During a recent interview with Rolling Out, she said that what makes her unique is her ability to genuinely connect with people and inspire a culture of synergy. This reminds me of today's guest, McKoy, who also has a knack for building strong relationships in business, as you will soon come to find out in this interview. So shout out to you, Miss McKoy Davis. You are our pop out of the week. Keep breaking glass ceilings and proving to everyone that with determination, intention, and great relationships, truly anything is possible. If you know someone who deserves recognition on the show, please DM me. And I love that people have been reaching out, sending me messages, DMing me on Instagram to have me highlight different people on the show. So keep it coming. You can find me at Progress on Purpose Podcast. That's all one word. Or you can send me an email at progressonpurposepodcast@gmail.com. Without further delay, let me introduce you to McKoy. Kasai is a photo and video professional, as well as the CEO of his own media company, Studio 15 Productions. A busy schedule keeps him always on the go, consisting of documenting large events, weddings, producing content for businesses and artists, headshots and portraits, and so much more. Kasai is a native of Plainfield, New Jersey, the birthplace of Studio 15 Productions. Kasai is a 2019 graduate of Keene University, in which he holds a bachelor's degree in media communication studies. He embodies the essence of innovation, professionalism, and determination as he always looks forward to serving you the Studio 15 way. And without further delay, I present to you Mr. Kasai McKoy. Hi, Kasai. Welcome to the Progress on Purpose podcast. I am so excited that you could join us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. You are an amazing entrepreneur. You're someone
Likewise.
that I admire. And I want to share you and your awesomeness with the world. And so more and more people after today are going to know just how dope you are. And I'm sure that you're going to inspire so many people to live intentionally and to pursue their passions. And if I could just start by saying, I love how you are a perfectionist. Like, even getting on this call, you made sure that, because we had little audio difficulties, but you made sure that it was right before we started.
Yes.
And not only that, but I've worked with you with the pictures that you've done for my wedding. And I noticed that you have an extreme sensitivity for detail. You always, work until something gets right. And that's what I love about you. And that is something that is a quality that a lot of people don't have or don't care to have.
Absolutely. And you yourself possess it. I got some of it from you. Trust me, I did. I'm like, Michelle is on top of things. I got to make sure I shoot this wedding correctly, because if not, she going to get me. So trust me, I got a lot of that for you. I love your attention to detail, how you wrote out the whole day, and how you made sure, even though it was your special day, you made sure that everything was going correctly.
Well,
And
I
do
appreciate that. No, I appreciate that, because sometimes I could be like over the top, and
Nah, it was perfect. It was perfect.
I appreciate it.
And it shows me, how I work with other people, that how you did it is necessary. It really is for the workflow of us.
I appreciate that. I really do.
And I also want to publicly say thank you for giving me and Studio 15 the first opportunity to travel outside of the country, get our passports, and make this thing international.
Yes.
So we're forever grateful to both you and your husband for that.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
You're so welcome.
My cheeks hurt now because
And I'm so glad that we pulled everything off great.
Oh, it was it was the perfect day.
It really
Everything went perfectly. It was
Yes.
just phenomenal.
Yes.
It was really, really one for
And
the
from
books.
that, I've been able to get more international clients. So you really have set the tone for a lot of things in Studio 15.
Well, to God be the glory, honey. I appreciate it.
Always.
I really do. So at a young age, and I don't, even though I know you and work with you, I don't know your whole story. So, but
Right.
what I do know is that at a young age, you chose to follow a different path and to do things unconventionally. So can you take us back to the 14/15-year-old Kasai?
Yes.
What was going on that caused you to follow an unconventional path?
Well, I love that you put it that way, because I was trying to find a word to describe my uniqueness, as opposed to what was going on, with the norms of society. So I didn't like a lot of what I saw growing up. Not that I was in any bad situation or anything like that, but what I saw and what the world presented me and my surroundings, it just wasn't pleasing to me. And I knew that, God had put me here for a reason, and it wasn't to follow the current trends of what had already been going on in life, with like a lack of income, lack of resources, failing in school, not having enough money to do anything, not let alone the main activities you want to do, but extracurricular activities. Didn't have both my parents in the household. My mother raised me, and she didn't always have it to give to me. And that kind of got annoying here and there. You're a kid, you want to do it. You maybe want to go out to the movies, and there's no money for that. So I do appreciate my mother not having things, because it actually pushed me to want to go make some money and do it the right way. And I picked up a lot of my dad's traits,
Mm-hmm.
He's a hustler, but he didn't do it the correct way. So a lot of people even tell me throughout life, "Oh, you got a lot of your dad's ways, but you're doing it the right way." So I say that to say, I noticed what was happening in my life. I went against the grain with pretty much everything that I did, and I love your podcast because you really make note of intentions, and I think that's important. Even as a young child at 14 years old, it's important to have intentions for your life, for what you're going to do, how it's going to play out. Because I started so early, I was able to get where I am today at 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really about society. You know, society really shaped the way I am. I wanted to bring something different to the table.
Were there other people around you, your friends, people at your school,
Hmm.
that had the same idea, or were you pretty special in that?
Well, I did start the company with my closest friend at the time, Justin Scheider. We both started the company. He was 15 and I was 14, so we rounded it off to 15, and that gave us Studio 15 Productions. So he was like-minded in that manner as well, but he was doing music rather than photography. So I do think that we both had the kind of edge to be our own business owners and not really work for anybody else. So as far as similar-minded people, I would say that he would be one of those people. Other people in school, not so much. I don't think they were focused on that. It was kind of whack at the time to them. It's like, how you get picked on for doing stuff that seems nerdy at the time, but then when time pans out, they're looking like, okay, like maybe I should have caught on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us how you got started.
How I got started. Um, I'm going to say that it started even before 15 and 14. My grandmother, who has been a huge role in my life, she has always included me in like business transactions and how to go buy a car and how to buy a house. I literally picked one of the houses that her and my grandfather purchased, and we went through the closing process. They brought me to all the meetings. From writing a will and testament, they've always embedded business into my mind. So I think that planting that seed of business helped me to start developing ideas on what I could do in the business world and what I could add to it. So, with that being said, at 14 years old, I'm not looking to work too hard. So I was like, what can I do that would be easy, but still would allow me to be able to work for myself? So it's actually not so easy as I thought it would be, but picking up a camera seemed very easy at the time. So we were actually at Sears one day, and I was like, "Oh, could you buy me this little digital camera?" So she was like, "Oh, you want that, grandson?" So we bought it, and I was like, I'll take pictures at the family reunions, whatever. We never had those family reunions, but I took pictures just going around and doing whatever we were doing for the day, and that further led into me wanting to upgrade that camera because it was just a little digital camera. So I told my father and my other grandmother that I wanted a professional camera. And it's like, what are you gonna do with that? Like, what are you gonna do with it? It's like $1,000. We're about to pay $1,000 to give you something at 14 years old. Like, you sure you know how to operate it? What's it gonna do? So at that time, the dream was not as realistic as it is today for them. And they see, and now they like to say, "Oh, we got you that little camera." Like, yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
definitely did help out, but it's often hard for people to see the vision, from a little kid's eye. But that's how I got started. So I would just take pictures at my church. That's really where I got my start at. I would take pictures of the services because you don't have to get hired for that. They're looking for media, they're looking for publicity. So however you can help your church out is definitely a great asset to them. So that's what I was doing, taking pictures of the teams, ministry departments, pastors, just testing everything out every week. So that was where I got my start from.
So you said so much that I just kind of
I
want to
know.
pause and unpack.
I hear your pen right now.
You can hear me.
Yes, I love it.
You talked about just how you. Well, let's go back for a second because you said
Okay.
that even when you're young, it's
Hmm.
important to have intentions.
Right.
As a teacher, I say this to people all the time:
Hmm.
listen to when kids talk,
Right.
because kids know at a very young age what they want to do. You have,
Absolutely.
5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds who know what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes their dreams are crushed by adults.
Right.
And a lot of the time,
Negativity.
it's negativity, it's insecurities,
Lack
that
of
adults
encouragement.
put on. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. And if we're not careful, we can really crush somebody's
You can.
dreams and alter the path of their life.
Right, and I'm glad you said that because, as much as I can, when I see young kids who are interested in what I do or even trying to do something different, I do try to encourage them or give them a shot at taking a picture on the camera or something because you never know how that can cultivate their future.
Absolutely. I think the first podcast I did, I highlighted Missy Elliott because she was someone who, she used to get picked on in school whenever she would raise her hand when the teacher would say, what do you want to be? And she said, I want to be an entertainer. And people would laugh at her, but she just blocked them out, and
Right.
she said, this is what I want to be. This is who I know I am.
Right.
And she went forward with that.
And it's important to be firm in that because it's easy for people to stray you another way.
Yes.
Oh, that's not something. That's not gonna make you any money. Nobody from our town has done that. Nobody has succeeded in that.
Yes, and you
you
know
hear
what?
all
A
that
lot
stuff.
of the times, adults have good intentions, and I say
Right.
that because when I was young, my dad, I told him, I had every dream in the book, but I told him I wanted to go to hair school, and
Right.
he said, you could go to hair school, but I don't want you to go to hair school yet. He said, do some other things. One time I told him I wanted to be a crossing guard. And he was just like, no. And I didn't understand why.
Right.
But
that can't be the ultimate dream, right?
right. He wanted me to dream bigger. And so sometimes adults, it's not that we don't hear the kid, but we want them to dream bigger. And that could be subjective too. Like, what do you mean by dream bigger? I want to be an actress. I want to be a singer. Is that not big enough? Why?
And I do understand both sides of it because those most of the time they do have good intentions, but
Yeah.
they're perceived wrongly sometimes. And us as kids in younger situations, we might look at it as, oh, mommy doesn't want me to do this, mommy doesn't want me to do that, but it's sometimes for the better.
Right.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yes, but nevertheless, one of the things that God blessed you with, and I believe it was a part of your purpose, was having people in your family, like your grandmother, who early on involved you in the business and finances and financial transactions. And so while you were hanging around probably on your Nintendo and while you were sitting in the meetings, you were developing a mindset at the same time, and you were listening. And that's another point, like kids are listening.
Yeah, they
and
really
we gotta
are.
be so careful how we talk around them, how we think that they're not listening. And when I say kids, I'm not just talking about 8 and under. I'm talking about the 14s and 15s too.
Right. It can play, some things that I've heard in my childhood, they still play back to this day.
Absolutely.
So you have to be very careful around children because you don't know how something can stick with them, good or bad.
Absolutely.
And it's funny you say the Nintendo thing. I actually was not into games much at all. I was pretty much a nerd. Like, I was very attentive to all of those meetings.
Well, listen, I believe it was because it was a part of your purpose.
Right.
Your ear was like inclined to it,
Exactly. And I just put on Facebook recently, did you know that I sold my PS3 to build my first studio?
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like $350, but it definitely helped get some sheetrock and get some tools going for the first studio.
And how old were you in that
I was
studio?
15, 16.
Wow.
We were in the back of the church. There was an empty storage room back there. And the pastor allowed us to use it, tore it down, knocked it down, and paid one of the contractors that went to the church.
Wow.
Yeah.
But even in saying that, you were utilizing resources.
Right, you have to.
In order
Can't
to
do
make
it all
things
alone.
work.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times we make excuses. Oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have a degree. I don't have this. I don't have that. And it's all in your house. Everything that you need is already your house.
So true.
You already have possession of it. But let me digress because I want to get.
Nah, I love that. It's so true. A lot of times people don't realize that.
Yeah.
We can't use excuses.
We can.
You can,
Let's
but
talk about that for a second because
if you
that
want to
is
progress, it's not gonna work out.
yeah. And so how did you? And I'm off my notes real quick.
Mhm.
How did you decide, or what made you decide, even at that young age,
Mhm.
even seeing what your dad was doing, even
Mhm.
seeing, what you were? You said there was a lack of income in the house.
Mhm.
What made you decide to not allow those things that you saw to influence the person that you ultimately became? Like, what made you make those decisions to say, no, I'm going to be different?
Hmm. Well, you know what? I think that my and I'm trying to say it in a nice way. It kind of was like a disgust at a point. My
Mm-hmm.
disgust with the lack of
Mm-hmm.
that made me continue to go hard. That made me continue to want more. That made me know that this is not the lifestyle that I'm trying to live. And like I said, don't get me wrong. It's not like I was, living in a bando or nothing like that. But
Mm-hmm.
it was always, I don't have the money for this. I don't have the money for that. And as a kid, sometimes you do want to wear some nice clothes, or and I made it happen regardless. Granny was always there to help out. So it was just more the disgust for not having more, the abundance that we hear about so much.
Yeah.
It's like, if we so called here to live abundantly, why are we not doing it? So that's really what the push for me was. And I've made excuses too. I've slacked off here and there, but ultimately I knew the goal that I had in mind.
Mm-hmm. So did you like write a business plan?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I come across it every here and there. It's pretty funny to look at now because it was all over the place, but it still holds those core Studio 15 values.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I like to see that it's been compressed, and we're working in what we can perfect now more than just all over the place. Because I had a list of so many things,
That's
so
awesome.
it's important to narrow down as well, and perfect
Mm.
certain things until you're
Mm.
able to do all those other things.
So what you're saying, what I'm hearing is perfect one thing at a time.
Yeah, I would say that because I started off doing photos first,
Mm-hmm.
and then I realized, okay, this camera does video as well.
Mm.
So it had the capability to do both, but I think it was important to master the photography first. And I didn't really master it at that age. I'm still, still learning at this point. But at that time, people were just excited to see nice quality photos that were different from their phones. And we got new phones and stuff coming out, that weren't the same quality as what was going on back when I was 14 and 15 years old. So it
Mm-hmm.
was amazing for people to see pictures in that element. And now looking back on that work, I'm like, this is horrible. but but you grow as you go. So
Absolutely. And people have to be willing to give you a chance, and you have to be
right,
willing to put yourself out there
that's
so
true.
that you can experiment.
Right.
And you experimented on other people's dollars, which is an even
Yeah, yeah,
even
yeah.
better thing.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because you even have to match your own, your quality. Because back then, it didn't matter how long the event was. I was charging 125 for every event.
Hmm.
Now it's hourly, so it's about not trying to overkill people. You need to meet people where you're at and where they're at.
Yeah, and but I also will say, once you establish
Mm-hmm.
what I call a resume,
Right, right.
you can charge what you are worth. But
Exactly.
sometimes you have to start somewhere.
You do.
Um,
And then also considering, I was born in Plainfield, so I know that people didn't want to spend so much. Not that they don't have it,
right.
but they're not looking to spend so much.
Hmm.
So even when I raise my prices now, I gradually do it, and I consider, the people around me. Because people
Absolutely.
say, "Oh, you could charge so much." No, I'm not gonna do that right now.
And your
Man.
quality hasn't changed.
Yeah, exactly,
Your
exactly,
quality is really, really
exactly.
good.
I'm not looking to kill anybody with the
Mm-mm.
prices. So I think
And
that's
people
important.
appreciate that.
Yes, I know. Thank you for appreciating that. I do appreciate you guys as well. I really do.
So I want to ask.
Without you guys, there's no business.
Right.
I think
Plug
that's
that
important for
there.
people to right. It's important for people to realize that too.
Yep.
Right.
So you kind of went here a little bit. You talked a little bit about the gift that God gave you.
Hmm.
So when I looked up the definition of a gift, it says that a gift is something that is given to you. You're born with it. Versus a
Mm.
talent. A talent is something that you develop over time. You work on, and it becomes your craft.
Mm.
What tips would you give to someone who is still in discovery mode, trying to sort out their talents from their gifts and deciding which one to pursue?
Hmm. It's a good question.
And you're the right person for it.
Oh boy, that puts more weight on me so I can answer it correctly. I would say that because even hmm, I definitely think that photography was my talent more than my gift
Mm-hmm.
because it definitely had to be worked on. I don't think that it was natural. I think that business in the business mind was my gift
Mm.
because even if my work doesn't match up, which it most of the time does, um, I can definitely relate to people. I can hold relationships with people. I'm very good with that, and I think that just having that business savvy mindset is more what I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Although I can deliver the photography, so I think that my gift is business, but my talent is photography. So I would tell people to decipher. I think that they would have to do some soul searching. I think that they need to talk it over to God if they do believe in God. Even if they don't, I think they need to write a plan
Mm-hmm.
and see which one has more pros and cons because I've done that as well. Oh, if I just let's use for an example. I started off going to school for business administration, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized the workload behind it. And I'm like, whoa, I don't think that I want to do this. Like, I love business for sure. I think it is a gift of mine. And I had already had so much experience in it, although you can always use more when I went into school. I took the easier route and went with my talent and the immediate communication. So I would say that they can definitely intertwine. And I hope I'm making sense with this because I
You're
feel like I'm on the right.
absolutely making
Yeah,
sense.
but I definitely think they can intertwine, and it's very hard to sometimes decipher the two because they might not be too much different at all. But I would just do some soul searching and try to figure out which works best for the life you're trying to live.
I like that you said not just do some soul searching, but
Hmm.
write a plan and
Right, the
look
plan
at
is
the
very
pros and the
important.
cons.
Right. Yes.
Truth be told, well, I got two stories. The first thing I want to say
Go
is
ahead.
before I go to the truth be told, um, I agree with you because when I first
Thank you.
met you through my husband,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Who is this person? I need to see his work. I don't
Right.
know. This is my
Right.
wedding. It got to be
Right.
right." And
Exactly. And you met me at a very nervous time coming to weddings because I wasn't that experienced in weddings.
I
I really
remember. I
wasn't.
think at the time you had only done one other wedding, right? Or
Right,
a few.
right, and which was just a few, but it was a big risk for you guys to take.
It was. And
Right.
so I remember bringing you in our living room and I'm like, let me see your
Hmm.
work. I had my notepad out. I had
Didn't have the best
questions.
presentation.
But you did your best. And
Right.
not only that, you also told me and my husband that you were learning. You
Right.
said by the time it gets to your
Hmm.
wedding, I'm gonna have learned so much more.
And that really did happen.
It really did. But what I agree with you in everything that you said because your gift truly, in my experience, is your
Hmm.
business mindset.
Right.
I remember how you had told us the day that you were going to bring the DVD and the pictures
Hmm.
to our house. And so the day came, I'm like, oh, okay, it's here. I had it in my calendar, but I was like, it's Kasai. He's our friend.
Right.
If he
Right.
don't bring it, it's okay. And I think it was like 11:30 that night.
Yeah, it was pretty late in the night. It was pretty late in the night. I was coming
Yes,
all the way from New Brunswick.
exactly. You came and you didn't just drop it off and
Right.
say, "All right, y'all, see you later." But you came with a presentation. It was a
Exactly.
basket. You had wine and wine glasses and chocolate. And
Yes, and shout out to my girl Rain for helping customize those baskets.
then, yes, Rain is the greatest of all time. But you gave such a presentation and you delivered it on time. And what
Right.
that said was, regardless of the relationship that I have with you, regardless of the fact that we are friends, regardless of the fact that I could send you a text and say, you know what, Michelle Thomas, I'm going to have to bring this to you tomorrow.
Right.
It's not done yet. You made it your business to get it to us. Even if even if it wasn't your, because you actually gave us another DVD not too long after that.
Yes, yes, yes.
But you still met the deadline, which was
Right.
important to you, and you felt that it was important to us.
And I
Now,
thank you for noticing that because you don't know the amount of stress that happens on the other end with that. So I'm so thankful that we were able to make it to you before that day was out because I do try to honor those timelines as best as possible. And don't get me wrong, things do happen, but it was important for me to make it that day, and I'm glad that you guys were able to notice that and appreciate it.
of
It
course,
means a lot to both of us.
and that's the business part. That's the intentional piece.
Right, right, exactly.
That's the progress on purpose part.
Exactly,
Really.
exactly.
It's not so much about the talents because we all have talents.
Right.
Anybody could sing. Anybody could do certain things.
Very true.
But not everybody has the gift of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Not everybody has the gift to do. Like you said, to negotiate, to build relationships, to have the mindset, to be on time. All
That's
of
right.
that is a part of the gift.
It is.
And even communicating with people.
Yes.
Making them feel comfortable.
Right,
making
right.
them
It's about that communication in that relationship because, like you said, trusting me. Because at the end of the day, I didn't expect 22 weddings to happen before your wedding. That was just me speaking
You
it into the
almost took
atmosphere.
me over.
Right. I didn't know that was going to happen, but it was my mindset, regardless, to learn efficiently before your wedding came all the way in Mexico. So, I did stick to my word, and I thank you for remembering what I said to you.
Wow. 22 weddings after that.
That was so random, though. That wasn't the normality for me. That wasn't happening on a
That's
yearly
an
basis.
explosion.
Nah, it really is, and I was so nervous because I hadn't built a team up yet. I wasn't prepared for it. I hadn't shot that many weddings, and yours, God set it up perfectly because, like I said, it was the first time we had traveled out the country, and it was the first time we traveled out the country for a wedding. So yours was at almost the end of all of that. So throughout all of those weddings, I was able to pretty much prepare for the grand finale for that year. And that's not to say that I shorted those other people, but I definitely was able to get my skill up and do my thing throughout the year. And they were pleased as well. Yeah, so God set that up the whole year.
Wow. That is an explosion.
Yeah, it really was.
Woo.
Yeah, and the workload behind it was, woo.
But you got it done.
I got it done.
And you grew in the process. You learned what to do, what not to do in the process. I'm sure so much.
Yeah, so much
happened.
was learned. So much was learned. From
wow.
equipment failure to sometimes you have somebody bail on you that was coming to assist you with photography for a wedding, and it's like, okay, what do? You got to figure it out. You got one less person. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, but see,
At the
that's
last
that
minute.
hustle.
That's
that hustle that you saw in your dad.
Right, exactly. Because at the end of the day, we have to make it happen. Your name is on the line. Your company's name is on the line. If this person doesn't show up, it should not be the end all be all.
That's it. Before we go any further, I would like to give you the pop tip of the week. Here it is. Identify one excuse that keeps you in bondage, that you keep using over and over again. And this may be challenging for you. So if you're like me, maybe you need a friend or even a spouse to help identify it for you. Nevertheless, find out what that excuse is that you keep using to prevent you from being the best version of yourself. Write it down, ball it up, throw it in the trash, and then take the trash out. Tell yourself and that excuse that its expiration date has arrived and you will no longer allow it to hold you back from being your best self. Don't forget to thank the person who helped you discover it because that's a real friend. And if you discovered it yourself, give yourself a pat on the back because your intentional act just granted you one more reason to go out there and crush your goals. Let's get back to the show.
Gotta make it happen.
You taking so many excuses out of people right now, Kasai.
Well, I'm trying to. I would like for our society to, go up and grow and, do things a little bit differently. We don't have to. We don't have to stick with what's been given to us. I think that's important to know.
Say that one more time.
We don't have to stick with what's been given to us. I had shared an article, or a post, something the other day, and it was talking about I don't have any role models. I didn't grow up with any role models. Sometimes when you're dealt a deck of cards, it's about how you shuffle it, something like that. I don't know, but somebody may have looked at it. Oh, you didn't have any role models. Not in the aspect that I was looking to bring in my life. Not in buying property, not in going further in life, not in showing me how to do things. No, I didn't really have those role models. So that's not to take away from anybody, but it's important that we switch it up a little bit.
Listen,
I didn't have both parents in the house. I'm still, looking to go against that. And if I ever am looking to have a child, I would like for both the parents to be in the house. It's about going against the grain and making things better.
and I believe that it's people that have been in situations similar to that
Mm-hmm.
that push and go the hardest because you
Yeah, I
didn't
think so
have
too.
an example, you don't have the resources
Right.
starting out, but you want change.
Exactly.
And so it eliminates the excuse of, oh, I can't, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Mm-hmm.
You can change your
You can.
outcome. You can change your situation. You
Right, and you
don't
can, and
have
it's
to.
so much easier in the society we're living in today.
Can you talk
You
about
can
that?
really do anything. You can. I would love to talk about that because I'm sure it would have been a lot harder for me in a different time frame and time era for me starting out. But once I started out, social media was this big new thing. People were on Instagram, or I don't even know if it was out yet, but I know people were on Facebook trying to have the best pictures, have the most likes, and all of that. I clung to that. I went with that, and I'm like, okay, let me fill in this gap. People want these dope pictures. Why don't I be the one to provide them? And so from that, you go from people hiring you by Facebook mention, by Instagram mention, your name being out there, people are tagging you. That's really how I got out there through other people. I know that people love to be visual, and just with a simple tag of my name, I'm visual as well. So that had to do with a lot. That had to do with the growth of Studio 15 tremendously. The era that the company was started in. This is the era of social media. This is the era of digital world. All of that. It was
Yeah.
perfect. It was
And
perfect for my life.
and I love how you said something, but you didn't say it. I'm gonna bring it out. You said
Mm-hmm.
that people attach, or you talked about how people attached themselves to you and wanted to support you, wanted to promote you
Mm-hmm.
once they realized who you were and what you're doing, and
Right.
that is the beauty in social media,
Yes,
that
it
you
really
can
is.
share. You can share what somebody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
I too, when it came to this podcasting thing,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have no real role models. I had someone who showed me like the basics, and I'm grateful for her.
Right.
As a matter of fact, everyone, please go check out What Page Podcast.
Will do.
What Paige podcast. That's my homegirl Paige.
Shout out to
She
Paige.
has her own podcast. She came when I told her that I wanted to start. She came into my house and showed me how to do my setup. But when it comes to like branding and monetizing and building the business, I'm doing all the work to search for.
Well, let me say that you're doing a great job, even from the waves going across the people's pictures. I love that. I love
Thank
that.
you. Again, and you know what? That came from me having a conversation with someone that I met who has a podcast too. And she was like, oh, go to this website. And that's the beautiful thing. Like, people are so willing to share
They really are.
information.
They really are.
And that's a whole nother conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But and even me just like stepping out on this, like right now, I've only had 4 full episodes. I'm getting over 100 downloads a week, and it's
Wow,
like
that's
growing.
awesome.
And this is off of friends and family, and so I'm
Well,
like,
first of all, let me say that you did it absolutely correctly. You tagged everybody in it. You directly messaged people. The buzz that you had just from the first post was amazing. You had so
blew
much
my
reactions.
mind.
Exactly.
It blew my mind.
But that's what it is to be intentional. You gotta go forth. You gotta bring stuff to people because they're not always seeing everything on the timeline, nothing like that. You made sure that they saw it. You have everything on. I saw that you even had the different streaming platforms with the icons on the pictures, along with the waves, and that takes it away from just being a still picture. People know that this is audio, this is video.
Yes, and to that point, because we've all been there, right? When you're like, all right, it's a little dry. I'm ready to quit.
Yeah.
I'm ready to not do this. I'm ready.
I've definitely been there.
Right?
Many times.
How do you keep going? Like, how do you push yourself to keep going? Because at the age of 15, I'm sure it was, it was a spike or a peak, right? But then it kind of tapers off for a little while. What do you do in those valleys? How do you keep going?
Well, I definitely consult with my boss up there
Mm-hmm.
in heaven. I definitely talked to him throughout my life, and I think that was important because I do keep a close relationship to him. Sometimes it's a little weary, but I do try to maintain a close relationship with him because I do feel that he's the one that gave me the vision, and I think it's only right of me to continue to follow him with it. So I would say when it gets in the valley situations, you need to talk to other people that are like-minded, or even those who are not like-minded that can be of support, like emotional support. Because once you really have a passion for what you're doing, you're gonna have your emotions involved in it. It can take you up, it can take you down, from excitement to sadness, depression, all of that. I've experienced every element of it in regard to emotion regarding business because I really truly feel like this is my baby. This is what I birthed into the world, and I'm pretty sure there will be more of it. But I think it's important to reach out to other people, read up, do your research. Google is definitely one of my best friends. YouTube nowadays is amazing. There's even people posting like, "Oh, how to feel better." Like,
Yeah.
meditation is important.
Self-care.
Self care, and I'm learning that more and more because it was a time where I was doing like 4 or 5 gigs a day, and it was like nothing. Now I'm not looking to do that. Like I'm really not. I would do it, but I'm not really open to that as much because you are overworked at the end of the day, and then you're so exhausted, and it doesn't do you any good in the long run. So I do think self care is very important in regards to yourself and business.
Mm. You just confirmed an idea that I had to do before the end of
Hmm.
the year, and I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna wait till January." But it,
Get ready for January
you
instead of
got
waiting for January.
exactly, which is exactly why I got to do it
Word.
sooner than later. So
Make it happen.
you look out for a text because you definitely invited.
All right, you know I'm with it.
Yes. So I have a question for you. What
Hmm.
um or how rather do you measure success?
Mm. I measure success by progression. I don't take it in like increments or anything, but as long as you are progressing, like let's say I look at success as progress. Let's say I'm working on a video project, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I put a certain amount of time into it per day. Even if I don't finish today, I still look at my assignment for today as a success because I'm closer to that end goal of the video being complete. So I look at success as progression. As long as you are progressing at a good, steady, rate, I think that that's what I define as success.
And so how do you stay organized? Because how do you
Staying
manage?
organized.
Or is that
I
where
think
someone else comes in?
Nah, I mean here and there, definitely. Shout out to Rain for sure, definitely. I am very good at organizing, but as far as keeping up with what I've organized, that's definitely where she comes into play. Because sometimes I organize to the max, and then I don't know what the upkeep is on it, or how's that doing, or stuff like that. So she's definitely a huge asset in my life.
But speak to that point. Would you say that you're intentional about the company that you keep and the amount of
Oh,
accessibility
definitely,
that people have to you?
definitely, and I think that I'm definitely feeling the greater importance of that recently because with so much exposure on a regular basis, being in people's lives and capturing their best moments, you do become some sort of like a media icon where people lately I've been like I got this big red truck. I go around town and the people are beeping like crazy. They're waving. I can't really go anywhere without somebody noticing me. So I think it is important to sometimes limit the accessibility that people have to you because, people don't always have the best intentions for you. It may seem like they do, but it's not always the case. And I unfortunately have been hearing about, a lot of business owners being attacked and stuff like that. So I do have to limit my accessibility to people, even with friends and family, because if I don't see that your best interest is for me, then you gotta go. You can't be around because not only can you yourself bring me harm, but the people you are involved with can bring me harm.
Yeah.
So it's mindset first. I always evaluate a person's mindset.
Yeah, I feel that. Listen, I love you, but
Right,
you
right,
can't
right.
come with me here.
Let's just talk on the phone or something like
Exactly.
here and there. But yeah,
Exactly.
I have a lot less friends nowadays. I used to be like all for the friend thing, but nah, I got my two or three core people and that's it.
I hear that.
Yeah. And most of the time, unfortunately, because I am so young, most of the people around my age, they are not taking life as seriously as me yet. It's not to say that they won't get there, but it's still kind of playtime for them. And
Mm.
I look at playtime as being a little bit further down the road, after I've done what I needed to do, and I'm able to fully enjoy all that I've put in this hard work for. And that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean I can't have no fun during the process of that, but let's turn it for the rest of our lives instead of just for a moment of it.
Yeah, I love that. Work hard now so you don't have to work hard later.
Yeah, that's what I feel. That's what I love. And I don't feel like it's far out either.
I know that's right.
I'm not talking 50, 60 years old. I'm talking before I hit that 3-0 mark.
Are you planning for retirement already? Like, tell us a little bit about your hashtag goals.
Okay. Well, I just knocked off one of my biggest goals last week by getting life insurance. That was very important to me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been on my to-do list for a very long time, and
Hold
I
on, I gotta
finally.
pause you. So if you are
Okay.
listening right now and you don't have life insurance,
Y'all better get it. Y'all better get it. You don't know the time or the day. Don't leave your
hello.
family struggling. Don't do it.
Exactly. And get you a policy that people can bury you and then have a little
Right.
something afterwards
Right.
for
Generational
pain and
wealth.
suffering.
Let's get it.
Okay. And generational wealth.
Right. It's
Absolutely.
important. It's important. It's so important. It can do a lot. So yes, that was one of my biggest goals. I'm very happy to have a policy now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do want to start working on this credit so I can be able to, get some things and grab some properties up or whatever I see fit for the rest of my life. And I
Mm-hmm.
would also like to, oh, that was one of my goals, some property. um, what else would I like to do? I would, I think that's pretty much
That's where
my
you are right
short term
now.
goals. My
Okay.
short term goals. I would like to fix my credit, get it in a better position, and definitely work on some property.
So guys, reach out to Kasai. You've heard his goals. You know, I'm serious.
If y'all can help me out, let's do
Listen,
it.
this is a businessman, a man who has so much wisdom, even at a young
Well,
age.
thank you.
Let's make his walk a little easier by tapping into the resources that we have. The
Right.
listeners on this show, I have people who listen who are everything from human resource managers and people who are on the executive level in their business
Mm-hmm.
to people who can potentially be a mentor for you when it comes to buying
That would be
houses.
beautiful.
And
I don't have any of that. Not
listen,
much of that.
but there are people out there who are looking for someone like you with drive and intentionality who they don't mind mentoring because they
Right.
won't have to baby you.
Exactly.
And that's a
Exactly.
point right there. Like,
It is.
listen, we are at the age now where, yes,
Mm-hmm.
we can use a mentor. Everybody can use a mentor.
Everybody.
But at the same time, you have to take the mindset where you're not just looking to be babied and
That's so
coddled.
true. That's so true. I think that really needs to be pinpointed because a lot of people are always looking at the world. Oh, why this? Why? You gotta look at yourself.
Hello?
What are you not doing?
Right.
What are you not doing?
Right.
Is your spirit right? Is your mind right? Are you taking the right actions every day? Are you living right? Like, what's going on for you not to be succeeding in life?
Exactly. I think I saw something on Instagram. Actually, it was on Dana Chanel. Shout out to Dana Chanel. She is doing
Shout out to her.
thing. She is the CEO and founder of Sprinkle of Jesus app.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, she's amazing, and she's such a go getter. But
I think I've actually heard of that before.
yeah, and she had a video on her page with what's the clown's name? Oh, it's gonna come to me in a second. But he was talking about how he said if a crackhead, and I may be paraphrasing, but he said if a crackhead is out there and in a day they make $20 and you're out there and you don't make any money, you
Right.
just let a crackhead,
Word.
have a come up on you.
Exactly. It's no excuses.
He said there are no excuses for you not to be making money
Right.
every single day.
Because they get their hustle on.
Because and they ain't ashamed to get their hustle
Exactly.
on.
They make sure their needs are supplied.
Oh man, the
For
name's gonna
real,
come to
though.
me, and I'm gonna have to figure. What is his name? Something Magic. Oh man, it's gonna come. To
Oh,
me.
Uncle Magic?
Yes, Uncle Magic.
Word,
That's who he
word.
is. He was talking about that on the video on her page. That's at Dana Chanel. Check her
I'm
out.
going to definitely check that out.
But even when it comes to all of the things and the goals that you have, do you at any time feel like you're missing out because you are so young? Do you feel like, there's something that you're missing, or maybe, you want to do things that 20 somethings do, or do you feel like, something's not there?
Well, I think that's a great question because I've always thought about that. Is there something that I'm missing out on while I am
I have an answer, but go ahead.
Oh boy. Well, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no because I've always felt confident that a lot of the things that are being done in my age group at this time period, it's not something really worth missing out on. Like later for the party and the drinking and the smoking, like it's okay occasionally, but all that stuff every day, I don't feel like I'm missing out on too much, especially in the environment that I'm in. I don't feel like it's that much going on that I need to be missing out on my productivity that much.
Yeah.
I really don't.
And you're building generational
Right.
wealth.
And,
You're building character. You're building intellectual capital every single day.
exactly. And then might I add, I really enjoy my clients. I really enjoy their events. That's where I have my fun at.
Yeah.
After all the work is done, we like to party. We at Studio 15.
Don't I
we
know
like
it?
exactly. After the work is done, it's time to party.
Yes.
Put the
Yes,
cameras
yes.
down. Let's get our two-step on. That's all I can really do. But let's have some fun. So I don't think I'm missing out because I'm able to enjoy the fun through other people enjoying their lives, their moments throughout their lives. I really do enjoy it. Not only am I able to like freeze frame those moments for them by providing photography and video, but after all, I'm able to have that relationship and have fun with them as well. So it works out perfectly.
And let's add this to your business gift. The way that you make people feel in doing what you do, that is a gift.
Right.
gift
Sometimes I feel that I'm bringing out new sides of people that they never even knew it was there.
Yeah.
Like I did a commercial for a lady recently, and she thought she would do a horrible job. But we're gonna direct you. We're gonna make sure that you're not on camera looking crazy. We're gonna make sure that hair, that makeup is on fleek.
Yes.
And we're gonna have. And then when you see the end result, it's gonna be like, wow.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Not only did they not rush me to make sure that my words are not screwed up or hurry me up and get me out the way. They took their time, and the result is amazing. So I love the feeling that we are able to give clients here. I really do.
I love it too. Listen, I'm a client and I love it. So
Yes.
before we wrap up, first of all, this has been
wow,
a
that was
great
so quick.
show. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
I was loving it.
'Cause it's a conversation and we can have fun with it.
Right, and I'm not offered a lot of these opportunities, so I love it. I love it. Thank
More
you
to
so
come.
much.
More to
Yes,
come.
yes.
So there is a pop quiz.
Okay,
And
I think
so
I did see that, and I prepared for it a little bit.
Good. So, yeah, it's a pop quiz, but I want you to be prepared. So, in 3 words or less, describe growth.
Okay, I did see that, and I couldn't come up with a third word. So, I think growth was
Well, it's 3 words or less. So,
okay, perfect. So I thought think of it as consumption, because you have to feed your growth. Just like you're feeding yourself to grow physically, I think it's important that you feed yourself with knowledge, that you feed yourself with experience. All that is pertaining to your growth. And I also said progression, which ironically is one of your pop quiz questions. So I think that they definitely go hand in hand. But I just think it's important to live a life that is progressive, and through that it will show forth your growth. I don't know if that makes much sense.
it does. But here's the follow-up question. What does progress look like for you?
Progress looks like to me, it's like a building block. It's like a building block. It's like Legos. I see it as, I think back to me starting out as at 14 years old with just that one block, the foundation of it. And I always focus so much on the foundation. I used to even tell my business partners, like, we really got to make sure this foundation is correct. Because once this is correct, whatever we do afterwards, it's going to be all good because we're on concrete ground. So I think that progress is like a building block to me. And at this point in the business and in my life, I do feel like we have a lot of building blocks on that initial foundation.
I love that you say that because how you start a thing really matters.
Yeah, it really does.
It
It
really
really does.
matters
Because
how
you could
you.
be starting a total mess.
Yeah.
You really could.
And so
But
it's
so it's
important to have that foundation right.
yeah, and I battled so much with the foundation, and so I think that I battled so much because I wanted it to be correct, and it's
Mhm.
not gonna be totally perfect, obviously,
Mhm.
but you want to get it to that piece of perfection that you feel is right within yourself.
I love that.
Thank you.
The third question is, what is one thing that people can do to live an intentional, purposeful life starting today?
I would definitely say I'm not gonna say take baby steps. What I would say is what you can do to start today is write the vision. That was my number one thing. Write the vision. You gotta write it down. Get all those thoughts out. Get every single thought out. Whatever idea you might have pertaining to whatever you're doing, because everybody's not looking to start a business. Whatever you're doing, write it down. You can reflect on that paper here throughout. I would say meditate as much as you can, because that does bring your thoughts to a sense of rest and being able to balance them. I think that's important. Um, I think that it's important to be in line with your spirit and set an intent for that as well. That you'll be positive for the day, that you would affirm things. Today's going to be a productive day. Even little stuff like that, it helps me out. Today I'm going to sit at my computer and not be distracted. Just telling yourself that. I think that that's little steps that anybody can take to be intentional
Mm.
and fulfill their purpose.
Kasai, you are wise beyond your years. A lot
that's
of
that's hanging out with those grandparents. That's what that is.
yes, I
Don't be
love
afraid to hang out with
that.
your grandparents if you got them, because
I
they
love
are
that.
truly a resource.
Yes.
They really are.
Yes, you are certainly like I had no idea. I'm so glad we talked. I had no idea that you had. Well, yes, I did because I see the fruit.
I know
But
what you
in
mean.
talking to you, it just shows how much wisdom you
Yeah.
have and how the intentional things that you have done and the things
Right.
that the people that are a part of your life have poured
Right.
into you, how
Yes.
it's coming out and you are using it for good. Like you're not
Right.
letting those seeds go unwatered
I
or
love that. I
falling
love that.
on, you know, not the right ground. Like you
Mhm.
are protecting those investments and
Right.
you're allowing those investments to have a return.
And that's important that you say that, because even those people are able to feel like a part of their purpose has been fulfilled in life.
Wow.
Like my grandparents, well, not all of them, but I know my nanny for sure. She's
Mm-hmm.
my ride or die. She keeps in contact with the studio every single day. She's making sure that we're good over here. We're not overworking ourselves, and she's able to feel proud. She always say, "If I leave here today, I know that I'm proud of you." She even sends me little messages throughout the day. She even just posted to Facebook. So even throughout us watering the seeds that's been planted into our lives, it does do something for the people who have planted them.
Wow. Mm-mm-mm.
this
Well, guys, this
was great.
episode has been,
This was great.
listen, so much wisdom, so much wealth
I love this.
in this. Because I please, please, please tell us
Mm-hmm.
how we can find you and let us know if there are any products or services that we can take advantage of.
Okay, so I would say that you can find me at Mr. That's Mr. Dot
Mm-hmm.
Studio 15 on Instagram. So that's like my company nickname, Mr. Studio 15.
1 5.
Yes, 15, the number. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find the studio on all platforms at Studio 15 Productions. That's 15 as well. And somebody will be sure to get right back to you. Rain is on the other end of that, handling things with the social media management. So shout out to her for that.
Yes.
If you can't get me, you will definitely get her.
Yes.
So please tune into those social sites.
Shout out to Rain holding
Yeah,
it
shout out to Rain. Shout out
down.
to Rain. She adds to my expertise every day.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You guys are a power couple.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And so guys, if you have video or photography needs, please hit up Kasai.
Please do.
If you are looking to have someone speak to young people or you're looking for a mentor, call
Okay.
Kasai up because as you can hear, he has a wealth of knowledge. He's willing to share and he's very humble. And
Yes.
you're gonna have to get on his calendar because it's about to blow up. That calendar about to be full.
Sometimes I'll be looking at the calendar like, oh Lord, this is what I pray for.
Listen.
Yeah, you gotta be ready though. You gotta be ready.
We pray and pray, and then
right, but when it come, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, okay, where's the personal day on the calendar? Because even when I'm not out shooting, I'm back at the lab editing. So most of my days are filled with production.
Yep.
So I'm always trying to steal a moment from me.
I love that. And that's important. Make time for you.
It is self-care.
Absolutely.
And I thank you so much for having me on this show. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to the success of this podcast. I hope that it goes far. I know that it'll go far. And I pray that you continue to push it, stay dedicated to it, and, let's knock down the grain. Let's go against it.
I love that. You should see me in my office right now with my hands up with the little ugly prayer face.
Wow.
Like I received that.
Wow. Well, likewise, I'm in my office with the prayer hands as well.
All
and
right.
I'm sure that will come to life.
Thank you. Kasai, thank
Keep
you
doing
so
your
much.
thing.
Appreciate
Thank you.
We will continue to be in touch, but until then, please, please, please keep living intentionally and making progress on purpose.
Yes, ma'am. You got it. I will.